Okay, I'm here today with Taylor Potter, who led the data analysis for a recent 2020 NextGen Homebuyer report. And I wanted her to share a little bit of her insights and thoughts on really what surprised you most, Taylor, and some of the highlights in your opinion. So let's start with something that surprised you about the report.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you about this, because when we started talking about this report really back in January, we lived in a different world. And so we were able to follow the home buyer journey. We thought about what we wanted to know in January. Come March and April, when we released the initial survey, we knew COVID was a problem, but we didn't know what that meant really in the long term. We were able to do a follow-up and really follow NextGen's and the home buyer experience over these last 9 months and see what they were thinking. So not only does this report have a lot of good information about how NextGen's want to communicate, which Quick Trip is not via email whatsoever, right? It's text and phone calls. But we talk about communication, we talk about what influences them, we talk about the home buying process, but we've gotten to see it all unfold through really the lens of how our world has changed over the last 9 months.
Yeah, I thought that was the most interesting part of this, is just being able to track where people have gone through and get kind of a pulse on where people are mid-pandemic. So what's something that surprised you?
I think so I am a home buyer. I have purchased my home, and so I've been through the process. It's been a while, but one of the things that really stuck out to me is still how many NextGens do not feel confident in any step of the process, right? So 20% said no, at no point in the home buying process, or as they consider the process, do they feel confident. That's everything from understanding what an interest rate is, understanding what mortgages are, to how does title insurance and how do appraisals work. There's such a need for, and I learned this by going through it, right? I mean, you learn it by going through it, but there's that lack of confidence exists in a generation that feels confident, generally likes to act like they're confident about things, right? So there really is an opportunity to educate in a way that's approachable and not at the time of the highest stress transaction you're making in your life.
Yeah, definitely. And that's an area that didn't really surprise me, because we've been talking about, how much education is needed with NextGen buyers, but it is, right there, like 1 in 5 had no confidence in any step of the process. The thing that surprised me the most was this disparity between male and female responses. Can you speak to that a little bit and just share your thoughts on why that is?
Yeah, so at the risk of stepping on a soapbox, one of my single biggest takeaways is, as a mother of a 3-year-old girl, one of the most important things I can do to set her up for her future is to teach her how to budget, how to make good financial decisions, and really bring her into the fold to us as a family and how we make decisions. Now at 3, right, we're talking about what a quarter is, but at 16, she should understand that we have a budget and that we have different investment vehicles and why home buying is important, right? So just thinking about her future and how I need to educate her. And gosh, that was even more so ingrained in me after looking at this data when we saw that NextGen women significantly less likely to have grown up learning how to make a budget and a financial plan. And that carried throughout the financial decision making that they're having today. So women are less likely to be saving, less likely to have investing in retirement monthly. They're less likely to have non-retirement investments, right? They're less likely to have HSA contributions and ESA contributions monthly. Like every single investment and savings vehicle that we asked about, women are significantly less likely to be investing in those mechanisms. And here's the thing, Kristen, that stuck out to me, is it wasn't necessarily about any sort of fear to lose money. I really think it comes down to just not feeling confident in understanding what they are, how they work, and how it impacts their financial future.
Yeah, and women were also significantly more stressed about their finances and impacted, or I think it said like COVID added stress to women's lives significantly more than men, right?
Absolutely. And that is consistent with, I remember at the very beginning of the pandemic, there was a New York Times article about how pandemics have an adverse effect on women compared to men typically. So some of this is because of the increased stress that comes with taking care of children and kind of keeping a home, and then also how it adversely affects their work, and less likely to work from home because of the industries they're typically in. And we saw that too. The women that we surveyed were less likely to have the flexibility to work from home, and work from home was one of the single largest factors of someone feeling optimistic about their future home purchase in today's environment. So let me rephrase that in another way, if I may. Back in early April, we saw that 70% of future home buyers said they maintained their optimism about buying a home, even in the face of COVID. Fast forward 6 months, we saw a very similar result where 70% said COVID has had no effect or a positive effect on their ability or their plans to purchase a home. And so what does that mean? Well, when we dug into that positive effect, if you work from home, and this really doesn't sound as, probably doesn't come as a surprise, if you work from home, you want to be in a comfortable space, right? There's a reason that the companies that are doing well in today's environment are Lowe's and companies, Bed Bath and Beyond, right? Companies that are about creating the space that you're in. And so how that translates into home buying is our next gens that work from home want bigger space. They probably want more house than they did, and they want a home sooner.
Yeah, that's, really interesting insights. And thank you so much for sharing some of the highlights. I encourage everyone to download the report on culturaloutreach.com. And any last insights you want to share, Taylor?
I just love to hear what people have to say about the data. Like, what does this mean to you in your daily life? How are you going to work with NextGens differently as a result of reading this report? So if you have any comments, definitely reach out to us at Cultural Outreach. Love to get your feedback and know what it looks like in your day-to-day life.
Great. Thank you so much.